scientists from the KwaZulu Natal Research and Innovation Sequencing Platform say people infected with the COVID-19 variant will have immunity against other potential variants. In fact, the findings were revealed in a webinar hosted by the scientists together with Health Minister Zweli Mkhize alongside Science and Innovation Minister Dr. Blade Nzimande. Sandile Cele is a medical student at the University of KwaZulu Natal and was part of the research team that discovered the variant and tracked its behavior. As you can see, he joins us now via our video link from Durban. Sandile, it's great to have you with us. Thanks for making time and welcome to the program. So the announcement yesterday made by the ministers has been met with some kind of relief, dare I say, but for those who are struggling to connect the dots, help us understand how it helps with our fight against COVID-19.
Hi, and thank you for having me. I'm really glad I'm here today. What all of this means is that those people that were infected during the first wave, they have their antibodies were not able to bind well to the new variant. However, those that were infected with the new variant during the second wave, they developed a much stronger immunity to the coronavirus. They can neutralize the new variant as well as the earlier variants which were circulating during the first wave.
Yeah, it's the kind of immunity that it almost feels like we're hoping for a long time. Does the protection that one gets from recovering from this variant equate to the protection one gets from being vaccinated, though?
That's a tricky question. I think the protection that one gets, it's strong enough, but we don't know for sure how long it lasts. It may last for like 3 months or 4 months, and after that, we know that it does get reduced over some time. So a vaccine gives a much more protection than what you get when you're infected with the virus.
And that's important, and I'll tell you why I ask it. A lot of the reaction on places like social media has been, okay, if it appears that surviving this variant gives you some kind of immunity, perhaps we should look into trying to exploit that in some respects. But the sense I'm getting from you is not so fast. We actually don't know how effective the kind of protection from this variant actually is.
Yeah. We know how strong it is in terms of binding to the virus and preventing infection. However, we don't know how long the protection lasts. So it's better, even those who have been exposed to the new variant, they still need to go for to get that injection of a vaccine so that they are protected in the long term.
Yeah, it's all still incredibly fascinating nonetheless. And my understanding is that part of the work you do is actually growing the COVID-19 variant. Tell us a bit more about
that. Let me take you back to around June when we started doing this work. So, and to correct you there, I'm not a medical student. I'm a PhD student. This is a part of my my research project where it was to look at different variants as they come. So we'll get samples from surrounding hospitals here in Durban. Then what I will try to do is to outgrow it so that I could sequence it and see what kind of variant it is. Then the end goal was to take all these variants and test them against each other and see how they transfect, how different they transfect, and how they react to antibodies. So late November, early December, a new variant emerged in the Eastern Cape. And then we are lucky enough here, we work with Prof. Tulio, who heads up the genomic surveillance team. So he had access to these samples, and then he gave me a couple of samples to outgrow so that you can have it in the lab and then do experiments in terms of seeing how well it binds to antibodies. So that's how it came about that I grew this new variant. But it wasn't my first. I do have earlier variants as well.
And how much does that process tell you about how the virus is likely to continue mutating from here on? Because part of the concern, of course, is that we need to stop COVID-19 from spreading because it gives it an opportunity to mutate in ways we can't predict.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's no telling. Like around June, August, there were only a few mutations that we could pick up, maybe 3, 4 mutations. Then in November, it had so many mutations that has evolved. So we really don't know what to expect next. So we must be very careful in terms of trying to prevent transmission so that we could stop this virus.
Yeah. Learning how a variant works could also be important for learning how to develop a vaccine. How much more are you able to tell us about the kind of vaccines we can expect, given the new knowledge we found out about this 501Y.V2 variant in South Africa?
Yeah, these results were very important in a sense that we now know that the kinds of vaccine that we should be looking for and the kind of vaccines that will help us as a country, seeing that we are dominated by this new variant. So we should look into vaccines that has some efficacy to the new variant, just as the Johnson & Johnson that is being rolled out. We know it has some protection against the new variant.
Yeah. And, you know, when we speak about what happens at a molecular level in the form of a variant, I remember Dr. Tulio, who you've mentioned now, speaking about a spike in the proteins, et cetera, is the immunity that one gets from surviving this variant a response to that spike in the protein? Tell us a bit more about scientifically what you're actually seeing from the structure of the kind of antibodies one develops.
Well, what you've just said now, that's how it is. The spike protein is what actually binds to our cells and then infects us. And also the vaccines has that part, the part of the spike, which then when it gets injected, it triggers the immune system to actually produce antibodies and protection. So that's how it works. It's the spike that causes infection. Without the spike, the virus wouldn't be able to get into our cells and then cause infection.
Oh, very fascinating. Are you able to take us through some of the other questions you're asking yourselves in the scientific community? This has been a significant development and answers many other questions, but I imagine there's still a whole lot more that we need us to explore them.
Yeah, you've also mentioned, you asked where is this going now? So we also do have those questions. Maybe we could set up some experiments in order to see where likely the virus to go. But that's something that we're still working on. It's still early days, but I'm sure once we get the results, we communicate as we just did with the recent findings.
Sandile Cele, great to have you on the program. Really appreciate your coming through and sharing with us what you know. Sandile Cele is a PhD student. He's also with the Africa Health Institute in KZN.